more minutes before we get started. Actually, we are live. Go ahead, Carrie.
I want to welcome everyone to the call tonight, especially Dr. Eric Naputi. We're so thankful that you're taking time out of your day today to share with us. And I know ever since Chris and I heard you speak in Dubai, we were just so excited about this opportunity that's before us. And seems like every week we come across something new that's even more exciting about it, with InterAthlete being at the top of that list. My name is Carrie Bednards. This is my husband, Chris. We are serial entrepreneurs. We invest in lots of asset classes, and this is the first time we've done a crowdfunding opportunity, and I can tell you that we've never been more excited about an investment and how passive it is. Super, super exciting and glad that we're a part of it. We want to thank Jim and Curtis for helping us to get where we are today with this opportunity too. They're very humble in what they wanted me to say, but they are, top leaders in this company, and we're very thankful to be a part of their team. They've been so helpful to me, and they asked me to lead this tonight, and so I'm going to do my best to take us through this journey with Dr. Eric tonight. We're going to not do a detailed presentation like Jim said, but he is going to give us a little bit of information on how unique this opportunity is. Jim, you want to do that real quick?
Absolutely. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Chris. We love having you part of our community. We wish we had all of our community just like you and Chris. You guys, it's all the opportunity, and you see how profitable it could be and how it can change. So again, thank you for being on the call, taking over the call tonight and hosting it as well. So as Carrie was mentioning, and I had said just earlier, that we're not actually going to go into a full-blown presentation. Actually, I don't do a full-blown presentation. What I do is I try to get the person or the people that I'm sharing this information with to be in the right mindset. Because, there's so much going on in our world today. We're seeing it being changed, and we're seeing things that we've never thought we would see. And there's a lot of so-called opportunities out there, and there's just so much. So it's just a really noisy, busy life that we're living right now. And so what I want to do is I want to give you a couple of examples to get you in the right mindset. So when Dr. Eric comes on, he's going to blow you away, because again, I truly believe it is the engine to this opportunity that we have. It's turbocharged, to say the least. So think about if one of your friends and family offered you to look at an opportunity, and think about it. You're on this Zoom tonight because you did have a friend or a family member that thought enough about you that they wanted to share this opportunity with you. And Curtis and I always like to say, listen, we'll never have any one of our friends or family, or even the strangers that we come in contact with, not least hear about the opportunity, because we feel that everyone should at least have the opportunity, and whatever decision they make is the right decision for themselves. But we'll never have somebody come up to us and say, hey, you did very well with some projects with the crowdfunding. You never thought about me to share it with me. That just won't happen. And so the ones that are on tonight by guest, thank the person that invited you tonight to see this opportunity. And so what I'd like to share with you, think about it. If whoever invited you on the call tonight came to you and said, hey, I got an opportunity I want to share with you. And the opportunity is going to be, we're going to disrupt the taxi industry. Yes, an industry that's been around for over 100 years. And those taxi business owners, of course, they have all the cars, and, they get the drivers to pick up the passengers and drop them off to wherever they need to go. But the difference between us, we're going to disrupt it in a way that probably doesn't make sense to you. We're not going to own any cars. That's right. We're not going to have any vehicles. And what we're going to do is we're going to get individuals for a side hustle. They're going to take their personal vehicle and they're going to go pick up those passengers and take them and drop them off wherever they want. And no, we're not going to make the car payment on that personal car. We're not going to pay the insurance. We're not even going to pay them mileage. We're just going to give them a fractional of what that trip is going to cost that that passenger, that individual. And you would be saying to yourself, I'm sure, because think about it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense not owning any vehicles, talking people into using their personal vehicle to do a side hustle, and they're still making the car payment and the insurance payment, and they're putting miles on their vehicle and wear and tear, right? Replacing tires and so forth. And by the way, we're going to name this Uber. Think about that for a second. All of what I just shared with you kind of sounds bizarre if you think about it. And then they're going to throw a name at you. This opportunity, this company that we're going to crowdfund for, is we're going to name it Uber. Well, listen, if you research Uber, last year they did $34 billion is what they did in revenue. And we actually have somebody that's on the call tonight that he had an opportunity to put $10,000 into Uber. He had somebody come to him and tell him about the opportunity, and he chose not to. And as the person that he was sharing that information, and myself, one of us, not me, but the other one, went and researched to see what that $10,000 would have returned to him. And believe it or not, the return would have been $127 million on that investment. Let me give you another one to kind of put you in the right mindset. Your friend or family member who invited you to this call tonight calls you and says, hey, I want to tell you about a business opportunity. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of not fully disrupt the hotel industry, hotel, motel, but what we're going to do is we're going to have people stay in other people's homes. We're going to call it Airbnb. And what we're going to do is we're going to get those people that have extra homes, allow other people to go stay in their homes, sleep in their beds. And I always make jokes about it because you got to be in the right mindset. Think about that. If you had strangers coming in your home, yes, they're going to be sleeping in your bed. Yes, they're going to be using your bathroom. And if they have kids, they're most likely putting boogers on the back of the headboards of those bedrooms, headboards, right? And it is kind of funny, but it's usually what happens, right? It's reality. And so they have no inventory, and they're getting people now even to go out and buy inventory, so they'll have more opportunities to get those rented. And those people are getting a fractional of what they're charging Airbnb. And if you look it up, it was an $8 billion they did in revenue last year. So the reason why I wanted to go there is because I'm going to share blockchain sports, or we're going to share blockchain sports, but I want to give you one more. Your friend or family member that invited you tonight pointed out an old guy over there that had a pair of coveralls, and he wore coveralls most of the time when he wasn't in meetings. And he had an old 63 Ford pickup he drove all over town. That was his transportation. And he had old dog Roy that would ride around with him, his best friend, Roy. Now, that was Sam Walton. And if somebody would have pointed it out to him, your friend or family member that invited you tonight, said he's going to disrupt the retail industry, he's going to be the number one retailer in the world, you'd kind of look at that old pickup truck, you'd look at him in those coveralls, and you look at that old dog Roy and kind of giggle, right? Whoops. Well, Sam is no longer with us. Roy is no longer with us. And if you have a dog, you might be buying the old Roy dog food. But $1,000 before it went public would have made you a multi-millionaire. So let's fast forward. We're talking about disrupting the sports industry. Sports has been around for goes back over 3,000 years. And we're going to disrupt the sport industry that does around $500 billion in annual revenue annually worldwide. And there's over 3 billion people involved. Let me repeat that. It does around $500 billion annually worldwide. There's over 3 billion people worldwide that are involved in it, and it goes back over 3,000 years. Which one sounds better? Well, which one looks better? Sam and the dogs, Roy, not having inventory, and you're going to disrupt the taxi industry and have no inventory, no vehicles, get people to go out and buy homes in hopes that they're going to get them rented out. People are going to Airbnb them. So the reason why I wanted to pitch in that right mindset, because we are going to bring Dr. Eric on, and he's going to show you how this one looks, smells, and is so much better than what we just shared with you. And there's nothing wrong with what I just shared with you. Those companies have become very, very successful. But think about the sports industry. I mean, every time you turn on the TV, there's something about sports, right? You go anywhere, go to a restaurant, you see little leagues, cheerleaders, you're seeing children in football uniforms or soccer uniforms, or go to any restaurant, especially on a Saturday around noon to 3 o'clock. You're seeing a lot about sports, right? And they're little ones, right? And those little ones are in hopes to become a great athlete one day and get paid professionally. That's their dream, right? And guess who else's dream it is? It's their parents. It's their grandparents. They want to live a life through them. And it's not something that they would admit. It just comes naturally, right? If you're at the age like me, 63, you know what? I did play sports. I played football, I wrestled, played baseball, I even was on a bowling league. But my time has come and gone. So guess who I have to live through? My grandson. And I want him to do what I didn't do, correct? And so then we got these clinics, and they're all over the country. And these clinics, these parents are paying big money for their kids to go become the greatest athlete they can become, correct? And think about this. Little Jimmy wants to go to camp, and little Jimmy finds the best camp. He's on his little iPhone or his phone, smartphone, and he finds the camp that has maybe the person he idolizes that's going to be at that camp to help coach or give tips, right? To help train. And he talks mom and dad into getting to pay for him to go because he's going, right? You ever had one of your children just beg you and it won't leave you alone till you just say, yes, you're going? Or he may have, or she may not have to. But what if little Jimmy has a friend, Johnny? Where's Johnny going to go? Where Jimmy's going to go, right? He's going to pester his mother and father or grandparents till he's gone there as well. And I did this to set up the right mindset because, again, we're so excited to have Dr. Eric on the call tonight. And I'll tell you what the biggest reason for me and Curtis was. We were one of 20 or two of 27 that got invited to Phuket, Thailand, to hear about this opportunity before anybody else got to hear about it. We had to sign non-competes, and we got in a room in a really nice resort in Phuket, Thailand. And as they started talking about blockchain sports, not just me, not just Curtis, but the other 25 looked like they were deer in the headlights. Now, think about it, we're coming off of another project that was just, it has been phenomenal. And now we're going into a new project, and we're thinking, how in the world can this next project outdo the last project? And we looked at each other and we're going, how in the world are we going to pitch this? How are we going to get this baby off the ground? And the missing piece to the puzzle, we didn't get to see that until we went to Dubai. And when we went to Dubai, again, we were optimistic. We were like, we're going to make this work one way or another. There's got to be something, because the three founders would not have chosen the next opportunity to be a flop or something that we couldn't utilize, that we couldn't work, that we couldn't go out and share with the world, that we couldn't make it as successful as our last project. They wouldn't do that to us. And so when we got to Dubai, and Dr. Eric, they called him up on stage and introduced him. Curtis and myself, and I'm sure Chris and Carrie, same way, you said that was the missing piece. There's the piece of the puzzle that we needed to understand exactly what we have our hands on. And I'm telling you right now, honestly, I don't call them goosebumps. I call them angel bumps, because I don't think a goose could put these kinds of bumps on anyone. But right now I have that because I'm thinking back not only when he spoke and then we knew we had something big, but every time that he comes on and does what he's going to do tonight for us, for others, we get excited again. It fires us up, because what he's going to share with you tonight, we always like to say, if you don't get what he's going to share with you tonight, if you don't get it, then your wood's wet. This is the driver to blockchain sports. We love the blockchain sports. We love what it's going to do. We love everything about blockchain sports. But Curtis and myself, we love this more than we love anything else about it. This is at the top. when I got back from Dubai, the first thing I was sending out to my contacts, because I was trying to figure out, how do I share this? There's just so much information, and I don't want to overload them. I don't want them to have the same experience that Curtis and I had in Thailand. I want them to see it. And we wanted to figure out how we could get them to see it, or at least pique their interest so they'll take a good look at the opportunity. And so we just started sending out Dr. Eric's video, just the video that was recorded there in Dubai. And then we just started critiquing it, figuring out how the best way to get somebody to visually see this opportunity. And so we could pique their interest so they would see more and more and more like we have. And so we add an 8-minute video about blockchain sports. And then we got Dr. Eric's video. And then we do the whitelist. And that's all we send out to a prospect. And that's what we encourage our team to send out, because that in itself has done very well to pique their interest. So Carrie, if you don't mind, I'm going to hand it back to you, because I want you to bring up Dr. Eric and let Dr. Eric share and blow their minds like he's blown ours.
Absolutely. I hope everyone heard how exciting this is, guys. It is so big, so very big. And if you don't see that, then you need to spend some time going through some videos, watching some things, because this thing is going to change your life. Let me introduce Dr. Eric. Dr. Eric Naputi is the founder of InnerAthlete. He not only is a private practice physician, he is also a doctor of chiropractic with a doctorate in natural, what is coming for all of sports. And we just can't wait to hear what Dr. Eric has to share with us today. Please share, Dr. Eric, any important information that I missed in your introduction, and give us an explanation of what InnerAthlete is and how it's going to change the game of sports.
Well, first of all, thank you both. Thank you all for having me here with you all today. I'm honored. I just got home a few minutes ago. I'm still in practice. I take care of patients every day because I love it. I've been doing it for over 2 decades now, and we've been doing it at a high, massive level, not just professional collegiate athletes, Olympic athletes, but, I take care of moms and dads and kids and everybody in between, right? Because it's all about how can we maximize human potential. And just a little addition to my background. So I've been in private practice now for over 2 decades. It's hard to say that. It's hard to believe that you've been doing something for over 20 plus years, but it goes like that, right? And I've been doing it on a high level. I've my background at the height of all my practice, I've had 32 of my own individual practices. I train and teach doctors across the globe. I have owned hospital systems, surgical centers, rehabilitation facilities, genetic molecular testing laboratories. I don't tell you that to impress you, but just to impress upon you that my background in healthcare is very diverse. And before I became a doctor, I always joke and tell folks that I'm just the son of a pig farmer from Central Illinois. And what that means is I just know how to work, and I know how to do the right thing. And we've done that for a long time. And InnerAthlete is really just a tip. It's the tip of a big piece of what we do in the world, but it's a tip of a culmination of 20 years of the work that I've done primarily in sports enhancement and sports performance and peak performance. In fact, I just had a phone call today with a surgeon whose name's Dr. Rick Lehman. He's one of the surgeons for the U.S. Olympic team. And we were working with one of his athletes, and his athlete had a labral tear, which is sometimes a career-ending injury. It's a shoulder injury. And he called me today because he wanted to know how we were able to get that athlete cleared and back on the field in 3 months. And it's because what we're doing with InnerAthlete is we're able to peek behind the curtain of an individual's own genetic profile, their blood, their DNA, how their brain works, how their body works, and actually learn how to positively change the physiology for that individual. So we're going to talk about that tonight, but I want to plant a bigger seed before I get into the details of what InnerAthlete is and kind of how Jim says it's the engine behind blockchain sports. For those of you that haven't watched the blockchain sports videos and the videos that I did, I would obviously encourage you to go back, because it's really important that you understand the big picture of all this and how what we're going to be doing is going to be driving that massively. So if you think about blockchain sports, it's about athletes, and it's about creating value behind an athlete. Well, because the higher the value is behind the athlete, the higher the NFT is behind the athlete, the higher the value is of blockchain sports as a whole. So if we can improve the functionality, the athleticism, the God-given potential that a human being has, if we can help that person tap into that and be the best version of themselves, well, that's going to increase the value of an athlete. We've proven that this system can do that. If we can reduce and mitigate the risk of injuries that athletes can have, that is a huge, massive value. And we've proven that we can do that. But the biggest thing, too, that I'll tell you that has really taken the sports world, and I'll use the term disruption because I love that. I love disrupting systems that are broken. And the sports world is broken. Those of you that have played professional sports, those of you that have worked with pro athletes, if you get a chance to peek behind the curtain and see how nasty and dirty and cutthroat it really is, it's a scary world to live in. And the recruiting and scouting world and the value that a player gets and et cetera through their contracts and their negotiations is something that has always been an unspoken thing in sports. Well, we've been able to improve the scoutability and the value of an athlete through the scouting process. Let me give you an example. And I think I gave this example. I gave this example at Dubai. I said, the National Football League, I'm sure a lot of you know the NFL has their combine. And after the combine, they have their draft. Well, over the last 3 years, the NFL combine has used just one piece of technology that InterAthlete has in our wheel of health and wellness that we measure our athletes with. Just one piece, just the neurocognitive aspect. And what they found is that normally they have a 55% failure rate whenever the scouts and the managers draft a player. They have a 55% failure rate. What does that mean? That means that they should have chosen someone else in that round. They gave their signing bonus to someone that shouldn't have gotten it, or that means that the athlete that they sign can't make it past their first contract. I don't know if you guys know this, but even if you're a top 10 draft pick, you get a lot of money, but you still get peanuts compared to what you make on your second contract if you can actually show that you can produce in the league. Well, 55% of the time, those kids, those guys and gals that get those contracts don't make it to that next contract. When they put in just the cognitive aspect where we can actually now measure the mental athleticism about an athlete, it went from a 55% failure rate down to a 17% failure rate. Think about what that means from a financial standpoint, from the NFL. I mean, that they all have salary caps and so much money they give out. Now they can look with more sniper rifle accuracy of what people they should be recruiting and drafting and in what rounds. Well, when we add the other components that we've created, which is genetic testing, which I'm going to get into, I'll talk about that in a moment. The molecular blood testing, where we look at vitamin, mineral deficiencies, hormone imbalances, all the things that you should do, foods you should eat, food you should avoid, what your sleep pattern is, what exercises are best for you to do, what prehab and rehab you can do to prevent and mitigate injuries. We are now with that plus our AI, we're already showing that it went from 55 to 17. Now we're estimating it's going to be below a 5% failure rate. That's just in the National Football League. Now, I want to bring your attention to what else happened while we were in Dubai. For those of you that are in Dubai, we probably had about 50 soccer legends, global football, right? Football, soccer. And when I presented afterwards, if you remember, almost every one of those footballers, those legends came up to myself and our team and said, first of all, how do we get involved in this? And second of all, if this technology existed when I was playing, who knows what could have happened for me? And who knows, some of them said I might even still be playing today, because we've created a technology where we can measure the physiological attributes of an athlete. One of the things that we do is we measure something called their DNA. We measure their genetic predispositions. We measure something called a SNP, a single nucleotide polymorphism. We actually measure over 250 different SNPs. With those SNPs, which by the way is a one and done test, we don't have to do this every 6 months or every 2 years. It's one time and done. With the SNP testing, we can tell what foods an athlete should have, We can tell what things they should avoid. We can tell people how much sleep they're supposed to get. There really are genes that if you have, there's a gene called an MTRR gene. If you have a gene that's MTRR, you need 8 to 10 hours of sleep to fully recover for maximum physiological recovery versus 6 to 8 hours. And we can measure those things. We can measure genetically if you're predisposed to concussions, if you're predisposed to tendon issues, to Achilles tendon problems, to knee issues, to hip issues, there's measurements for that. So we now, like I say, with sniper rifle accuracy, can measure what an athlete should and shouldn't be doing. And then we can also look at their blood levels. That's the second thing that we do. We have a proprietary program where we can look at either on a dry blot test, which means we can take this blood all over the world and ship it to our facilities here in the US and have it tested, or our global partners across the pond. We can find out what vitamins and minerals and nutrients and hormones and peptides and et cetera they're deficient in. And then we can give them those exact quantities so that they get the results that they need. That is huge for sports performance. That's huge for all human performance, but especially for athletic performance. Then we have what's called our S2 cognition test, which is one of the most powerful brain and cognitive tests that are out there. And if you go back and watch the video that I've given to our team to listen about just on the S2 cognition, you've heard people say about athletes, that lady or that guy has eyes in the back of their head, or man, that person really can see the field, or they have a flow for the game. Those are actual neurological attributes that we can measure. And we can measure those, and we can determine not only can an athlete physically accomplish what they're supposed to do, but can they mentally handle the game? And for those of you that are professional athletes or know professional athletes, you understand that that's that 1% that separates really the winners, the champions, and those that can't participate. So we've got all those. And then we also have a proprietary AI algorithm. And that proprietary AI algorithm that we've created, which by the way, was created by the same group of individuals that created the AI algorithm for the Department of Defense in the United States of America, to where when a soldier has an injury on the battlefield or gets blown up by an explosive device or whatnot, those diagnostic criteria go into our algorithm, and then our AI generated system spits out, here's what you should do for that soldier. And about 99% of all of the VA hospitals and military organizations across the US are using our AI just for that. And they're saving time, energy, they're getting better results, and they're making more money doing it. Folks, this is what Inner Athlete has been, with all love and respect, it's been blood, sweat, and tears to get to this point. And for those of you that are professional athletes, I just had 3 of them in my office just yesterday, 3 MLB players, actually 4. The 4th one's a retired MLB player who's now a scout, who the reason why he's one of the highest sought out scouts is not only does he know how to negotiate contracts, pick the right talent, but he's surrounded himself with the right kind of physicians and clinicians that can measure his athletes and make sure that he's putting the best athlete out there on the field and actually cares about his athletes to get better. And these guys, one of the gentlemen said to me yesterday, he just signed a big contract. He had a $17 million contract that he just signed, and he's having some issues with his shoulder and he's got some other things going on. We ran the genetic profile, did the blood testing, ran all the cognitive stuff, and we found out why his issues are his issues. And he said to me, and this is one of the biggest professional organizations that are out there. You can watch them on baseball every night or every other night when they're playing baseball. And he says, look, Doc, we don't have half of these things that you gave us access to today. Every single one of them said, I know 10 or 12 or 14 of my teammates that need to have this done. And then when we were in Dubai, when every one of those footballers said, I want to get involved with this and figure out how do I bring this back to my clubs, my organizations, my teams. Since Dubai, oh my gosh, the world has opened up like it's not even funny. And we're just talking about soccer globally to start with what we're doing with blockchain sports. And so it's amazing what's happening. It's amazing how we've come together from a global standpoint already. And really, it's a limitless opportunity for athletes to get better. Because right now in sports medicine, folks, it's something that we refer to as cookbooking, which means we kind of do the same thing for everybody. It doesn't work that way. we've been able to crack the code and put all the pieces of the puzzle together so that we can really truly dial in. And one of the questions that I get from people all the time is, well, Dr. Eric, this sounds amazing. And I know you've been doing this for a while, but there's got to be other people that are doing it. There has to be competition. Folks, we have a 20-year head start on everybody. Our technology from the testing is patented globally. Our treatment modalities, almost every single one of them, delivery systems are patented. Our relationships are so strong, it's not even funny. We already have had conversations with FIFA. We're starting an MLS roadshow here in the US. We have 6 now different MLS professional teams that we're going to test their athletes, to show them the technology. They all want to partner with us. And that's just since we talked about this in Dubai. And so is there competition? There are people that are trying to go out and do similar things that we're doing and we've done, but we've already created the system. We've already been doing this. We already have 30,000 plus athletes that we've tested already under the AI inter-athlete AI system. And so now everybody else, we're kind of like Xerox. You know, I've got a copy machine in my office here at my house. It's not a Xerox, but we still tell folks that go over there and Xerox that because we're the first ones out. We're the biggest impact. And the reason why, and I said this from the stage in Dubai, the reason why we chose to launch this project with Limitless was because of exactly what Jim said at the beginning. The 3 founders that you all have, Jeremy, Ilya, and Edward, have a global vision, have a fearless mindset, have that understanding that we are limitless in what we can do, and want to launch this on a global level. We've already had multiple professional organizations. Those of you that have seen the PowerPoint saw the last couple slides of all the professional and collegiate sports. We're absolutely still best friends and absolutely love each other. So what I'm trying to say is when I get married, I am committed. So it was a very big decision for us to say, no, we're going to turn away this NFL opportunity. We're going to turn away this MLB opportunity. We're going to turn away this Olympic opportunity because we're going to bring this to the Limitless community. And we've had months of conversations prior to the Dubai launch of what this is going to look like long term, because this is not a flash in the pan opportunity. This literally is going to change. It already is changing the way that athletic performance is measured, perceived, and it's also changing the way that athletes are thinking about their health and their future. So we're taking this opportunity with soccer because, you know, there's 250 million fans. There's over 200,000 professional soccer players. Like you mentioned before, there are over 20,000 different clubs globally that are out there with the youth and above that we can start tapping into to not just change them physically, but emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and help them be better people, right? There's a massive humanitarian need for what we're doing. So what do I see? I see us 5 years from now, not only on you know, the soccer pitches internationally, you'll see blockchain sports and inter-athlete being co-branded. You'll see organizations like Puma and Adidas working with us because we've already had those conversations. You'll see MLS players wearing jerseys that represent what we talk about. You'll see commercials on television talking about this. You will be all over social media. This will be the new thing. This will just be like, this is what athletes do. The days, Jim, the days of an athlete being able to just rely on their God-given, you know, athletic ability are over. You know, I mean, I remember when I was playing college football in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was rare if people took supplements and they ate well and they exercised. You know, that was like peak performance. Now all these kids are starting at like 3 or 4 years old in the US and other countries doing, you know, the right types of foods and the right types of whatever. But now we can take it to a whole different level. And by the way, here's what else is really cool. I haven't mentioned this on any of the calls yet, but I'm going to tell you guys this. We're measuring over 250 SNPs. There are 250 genes that we now can measure that we know if this gene is a problem now, that can prevent and mitigate so many things that are chronic illnesses and et cetera that are out there. So what we're doing with inter-athlete is not only going to change the way that sports is perceived and data is collected, but it can also change the outcomes of overall health and performance and how doctors evaluate patients in the future. We have a major hospital system out of Arkansas that's already working on partnering with us. They have the largest sports medicine program in Arkansas. They want InterAthlete to be a part of what they're doing. And the biggest thing that they're interested in is our together collective data sets that we're going to have on our AI and how that can ultimately change the way that they take care of patients in hospitals, sports medicine settings, and et cetera. So Jim, I'm in this for the long haul, my friend. This is not a let's do this for a year and see what happens kind of a deal. We have a very, very big plan. We already have a huge team behind us. You know, we already have general managers internationally, not just what's going to help you on the football pitch or the baseball field. It's going to help you in every aspect of your life. So Jim, I'll give you one more. We have a college, well, we have a professional. He was a college athlete at the time. He's now an NFL quarterback. And this young man was a little shorter, not as big as the other quarterbacks that were in the league during the time that he got drafted. But we found this kid has cognitive function like you wouldn't believe. Like he can see the field, he can read, he's got great, measurement skills with his throw